Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday afternoon. It's the penultimate week of term. Can you believe that? It's so nearly Christmas. And here are today's notices. First up, what a weekend. We had our inter-house sport on Saturday morning. That was the boys rugby sevens and the girls hockey. Thank you to Eton College for playing host to that. But more importantly, thank you to all of the staff, all of the students, all of the parents who came together to make that such a fantastic morning. Thank you to Mr. Bicknell for organising. Thank you to the friends and to the Dads Club for sorting out all of our refreshments, lovely hot dogs. And thank you everybody for making it so much fun. It really, really was a great morning, so brilliant. And then followed by that in the evening, and I was sorry not to be at this one, but we had our first concert at Eton College. And I've heard some recordings of that. I'm sorry, I haven't. There weren't any recordings, very naughty. And it was just brilliant to hear our kids singing, our students singing alongside the Eton boys. Those of you who know me will know how important music and particularly singing is to me. And this year I want that to be a really, really big push. And so thank you to Mrs. Bryant for getting that going. I do have a couple of goodies for Mrs. Bryant and Mr. Bicknell just to say thank you. So make sure you come and see me before the end of today. What else do I have to tell you about? Well, this week, it's all about trials because our first round of trials this year are next week, and these are really, really important, but they're not too important. I don't want anybody having a meltdown. I just want everybody taking it seriously. You should receive via email from me this afternoon the timetable for your trials. That tells you when and where your trials will be. A few things you need to know. If you're in year 7, 8 or 9, you're going to do all of your trials in your science set. If you're in 7, 8 or 9, you're going to do all of your trials in your science class. You're all going to be doing the same papers, that's just the group you're going to sit in. And on your timetable, it tells you which room you're going to go to. That is the same room for all of your trials, apart from art, and for all of your independent studies. So next week, that's the room where you're going to spend most of your week if you're in year 7, 8 or 9. The only trial you won't do in that room is your art trial, which you'll do in one of the 2 art rooms, or if you're in year 8, your music trial will also be in the music room. But all other trials for 7, 8 and 9 will be in the room assigned to you according to your science group. That's just the simplest way of doing it from a timetabling point of view. It's nothing to, everybody's doing the same papers, assessing the same content, but just that's the room you go to. There will be a seating plan on the door next week that tells you where in that room you're going to sit for the trials themselves. Year 10, it's a little bit more complicated. Because obviously different people are in different exams at different times in year 10 because of GCSE options. So year 10, if you are not doing a trial at any point in time because you're not in that subject or because there's nothing taking place, you go to the same corridor you go to for prep. So you'll have Miss Lunny's room, Miss Gardner's room and the computer room will be there for you to do your independent study in. When you have a trial, that is going to be in a different room. It will either be in one of a number of rooms in this building or in the RS room. Which room you go to depends on which class you're in for that subject. So I'm going to print all of the year 10 timetables again later this week and give them to tutors so you can double check, hold on, am I in 10XC history or am I in 10XA history? It will tell you on your timetable and then you can make sure you go to the right room at the right time. It's slightly more complicated for year 10, but the golden rule is if your subject that you take is on the timetable at that time, you need to be taking an exam in it. If it's not, then you should be doing independent study over there. Final thing from me today is just to talk briefly about revision because it's been fantastic to see so many of you revising already. But I want to give you a couple. Oh, I knocked my phone over. I want to give you a couple of tips of ways. It's gone again. Ways in which you can revise slightly more productively because revision shouldn't just be a passive thing. So I'm going to try and do this board. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I want to give you 2 tips for active revision. And both of these tips relate to breaking it down because you will have loads of things which you need to learn and revise for next week. The key here is breaking it down into manageable chunks. So if I'm going to revise, I don't know, history, for example, I'm not going to try and revise everything I've covered in history. I'm going to think, what are the topics? And Miss Gardner's already provided useful revision materials to tell you what the topics are. And then when I revise, I'm not just going to sit and look blankly at my notes. I'm going to think, okay, I'm revising one particular topic. I'm revising, I don't know, causes of World War I. And I'm going to break that down further. And there's two ways I can do it. Number one, it depends how your brain works, right? But number one, I might do something like a little mind map. So causes of World War One in the center. And then I'm going to think, what are my kind of big areas around there? So I could do one section coming out here on political instability. I'm not an expert on the causes of World War One, so correct me, Miss Garden, if I'm getting this wrong. I could do one coming out here on German expansionism, and then I could do another topic coming out here, which is going to be, I don't know, assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand. So I've taken one area, I've split it down into three, and what I can then do is break each one of these down further. So why was Eastern Europe unstable? We could talk about issues in the Balkans, we could talk about Russia, we could talk about all the areas of political instability, and we can start to break those down around the edge. So we take one medium-sized idea, not just history, a topic, and we start to work our way out, breaking it down and breaking it down. That's number one way of doing it. Number two, and actually this, I probably wouldn't do that because that's not how my brain works, but I know that's very popular, very common. You could do one page per topic. The other thing is actually what is more my way of doing it is just little cards. So I would do cards with kind of 10 key facts on. So I would have this would be assassination, and then I do 10 facts on that card about the assassination. I do German expansionism on another card, and I get a nice little index box as well. That's the kind of thing I like to do, expansionism, and I do 10 key facts on each of those cards, because that gives me two things. It gives me the ability, first of all, just by making those cards I'm revising, and secondly, it means then I've got quick fire ways to revise, and if I've got a topic I'm feeling insecure and I can quickly leaf through, find the card, that's the one there for me. That's examples with history. It's a couple of ways of how to revise. There's loads more tips, and I will get some materials over to your form tutors, but remember, it's not enough just to gaze blankly at your notes. Be active, do something, reprocess those notes, condense them, and break them down. That's it for today. Have a lovely afternoon. Take care. Bye.